Hey everybody, TAV here. In this video I'm going to be trying to give you a quick deck tech on my red-green aggro. Going to try and make this not too long, but at the same time give you guys a good sense of what I'm playing here. This is a deck that's going to be, it's been doing very well for me in standard, but I'm constantly boarding in and boarding out different cards, and it's gone through many different iterations. The list it's in right now I'm very confident with, I'm very happy with. So without further ado, let's start looking at the cards. We're going to start off with the lands. I'm running 22 total lands. I'm running 10 basic forests and 6 basic mountains. And I have to say I absolutely love these Zendikar art cards. Absolutely beautiful in my opinion. Those full art cards are, one of my favorite things about the game. Absolutely love having those. After that, we got the 2 Kessig Wolfruns. Well, yes, this Kessig Wolfrun does not have the game-ending power that it has in, say, like a Wolfrun ramp deck. It is definitely good to be able to pump up some of your creatures and get in some extra damage, and maybe even take out one of their blockers that normally wouldn't die. After that, we got 4 Rootbound Crags. Rootbound Crag being a great dual land. I'm not running any Copperline Gorges in this deck. I'm running only Rootbound Crags for dual lands. I do have a couple of spells that will fetch me a basic land, so I like keeping my basic lands high, plus the fact that I really didn't feel like investing in the Copperline Gorges when they're going to rotate out with just to get another dual land in Return to Ravnica, hopefully with the shock lands coming in. Moving past the lands, moving on to creatures. I'm running 23 total creatures, which is pretty dang high, but in an aggro deck I definitely like it. I'm running 4 Birds of Paradise, which is, these guys love them. Ability to give you any mana is awesome, plus flying. I have been able to pump these guys up and attack over the top when my opponent's got no flyers. And, surprise, surprise, a Birds of Paradise just hit you in the face for 8 damage. In addition to the birds, I also am running a full playset of 4 Llanowar Elves, or as I call them, my Lawnmower Elves. Pretty standard mana dork here. So between him and the birds, running 8 total mana dorks, which is really nice to be able to ramp up on those early turns and get some of your high drops out. After the 1-drop slot, moving on to the 2-drop slot, I'm running 4 Strangleroot Geists. These guys are great haste and undying, so they're going to come back after they die with a +1/+1 counter. And the fact that you can attack, they got that haste, so you can be attacking if you get one of these down on turn 2. If you got down a mana dork on turn 1, that means you can be having that extra mana slot open to equip maybe a Rancor. So these guys can be attacking for 4 damage on turn 2, which is pretty strong in my opinion. After the 2-drop slot, I'm running 3 Borderland Rangers for the 3-drop slot. A lot of people want to run the Wolfear Avengers at the 3-drop slot, but in my opinion, the Borderland Rangers are just stronger in this deck because they help me fetch out those basic mountains. Plus, a 2/2 body is never bad, especially when you get that ability to fetch a land for your hand, which is really needed, especially when some of the later drops are coming on. In the 4-drop slot, I'm running 4 Huntmaster of the Fells. Not as good a card as it used to be, but it's still a darn good card. Whenever he enters or transforms into the front face, you get a 2/2 wolf token and you gain 2 life. Pretty darn good. And if no spells are cast, upkeep in the next turn, he flips over. You got a 4/4 with trample, and your opponent loses 2 life, and you deal 2 life to one of his creatures. Deal 2 damage to one of his creatures. So pretty good card if you can keep flipping him back and forth. However, if your opponent can game it so that you never get those flips off, and some opponents definitely do have that control, he's definitely a weaker card. But I'm running the full 4 of them, so and I really like this card, even though it isn't quite as powerful as it used to be. After that, I got the 5-drop slot. I'm running 3 different 5-drops. I'm running 1 Thragtusk. Thragtusk is a great card. You gain 5 life when he comes on, and the 3/3 beast token when he leaves. And he's a 5/3, so really nothing wrong with a Thragtusk. In addition to the Thragtusk, I'm running 1 Wolfear Silverheart. That Wolfear, he isn't quite as good as some of the other cards. He doesn't have that evasion, so he is very susceptible to removal. But if your opponent really doesn't have any way to get rid of them, that +4/+4 on the Soulbound is very powerful. And the final 5-drop, I'm actually running 2 Thundermaw Hellkites. Now, Hellkites are a great card in the fact that they have that haste, and when they come onto the battlefield, they're tapping down and dealing damage to every single creature with flying that your opponent controls. So pretty much, unless they have an instant removal spell, when this guy comes down, when he resolves, he's getting in there for 5 damage over all of the flyers and taking out any, like he's taking out any birds, he's taking out any 1/1 spirit tokens. He can really clear a board if the game is right. But the fact that he can get in for that instant 5 damage is definitely really nice. So I'm running 2 of him. The only problem with this guy is the fact that he costs the 2 red mana. He's got that double red, which is definitely where that Borderland Ranger comes in. The ability to fetch a mountain if you're getting mountain screwed, which I have had games where I just couldn't draw. I couldn't get past that one mountain. And the ability to fetch another with Borderland Ranger, definitely where his job comes in. So Thundermaw Hellkite, great card. I love it. Moving on to enchantments, I'm running full play set of Rancors. Rancor is definitely a good card. The fact that once it resolves, so as long as it's not killed off the stack and it doesn't get exiled, it's going to the graveyard from the battlefield and it's bouncing right back to your hand. And you can play it as early as that turn 2. Equipping it on that Geist and attacking for 4 is really nice. And it's got a +2/+0 and it has trample. It's totally worth running the full play set. Moving past the enchantments onto instants, I'm running 2 Dismembers. Dismember gives 5 -5/-5. Great way to get rid of some opponent. Great way to get rid of a Resto Angel, or get rid of if your opponent is attacking in with one of those Hellkites and you don't have anything to block them. It's a good way to remove them. Plus the fact that if you can get off the Birds of Paradise, you can tap for that black mana, so you don't have to pay the Phyrexian cost, which there's absolutely nothing wrong to not losing 4 health. In addition to the 2 Dismembers, I'm also running 3 Galvanic Blasts. Galvanic Blast is just a standard 2 damage 1-drop spell. There's a lot of debate over which is better in the main board, a Galvanic Blast or a Pillar of Flame. Both of them deal 2 damage. However, the Pillar of Flame gets to exile a creature. However, Galvanic Blast is at instant speed, whereas Pillar of Flame is at sorcery speed. So, in my opinion, the ability to throw it down at instant speed is definitely worth the main boarding. A lot of people don't think so, but at least in the metagame where I play, there aren't that many zombies or something where they're constantly casting back from their graveyard. So I really don't think that exile is needed. But some people definitely feel that it's better than the Galvanic Blast. After that, we've got our sorceries. First off, I'm running 3 Green Sun Zeniths. Absolutely amazing way to fetch pretty much almost every single creature in my deck. I can fetch every single one except for my Thundermaw Hellkite, since every other card is a green. So all you gotta do is just pay that pay the converted mana cost of the card, +1 forest, and you can grab it. So it's a pretty good way to fetch pretty much everything. I use it a lot on early turns to get down a 2nd Strangleroot Geist. If for some reason you just can't get a mountain out, but you've got you can put out a Huntmaster without having to pay the mountain, the red mana cost, because you're just paying the converted mana cost. Now I'm only running 3 of these. I'm not running the full playset just because if I was running every single card, every single creature in my deck was green, I would totally be running the full playset. However, with those Thundermaw Hellkites taking up 2 spots in my creatures, I decided I could cut back from 4 to 3. In addition to the Green Suns, I'm also running Bonfire of the Damned. One of the best cards in the format right now. There's almost no reason to be playing there's pretty much no reason to be playing red in standard and not be playing bonfires. The satisfaction you get when you miracle a bonfire off the top and windmill slam it onto the field to wipe out your opponent's board is very satisfying, and it's also one of the most painful cards to lose to. But I'm running 3 bonfires, and with that actually concludes my 60 card main deck. Moving on now, though, to the sideboard. For creatures, I'm running 2 acidic slimes. This is really just for artifact and enchantment removal, or if they've got some crazy land that I just can't deal with. But mostly for those the enchantment removal. You know, if I need to run 2 for them, I can green sun into them on my turn, and then slam down an acidic slime and get rid of that enchantment or whatever if it's just too much to handle. I'm also running 2 Daybreak Rangers. A decent card. It's not amazing, but they've got the tap to deal 2 damage to creature with flying. I've got 2 of them in my sideboard, so I could run 2 at the same time. You know, if you can get them both out, tap them and deal 4, you know, that just takes care of a Resto Angel. Not bad. Also, if you get the flip off, he's got a spell on the back for, he becomes a 4/4 with the ability pay 1 red mana, and he will deal he deals damage. It's essentially a prey upon. He fights enemy creature. After the Daybreak Ranger, I've also got 1 Malira Sylvok Outcast. You know, not a great card, outside of the fact that this 1 card essentially shuts down an entire archetype of deck. You know, there aren't really many. You know, it's tough for an infect deck whose, you know, main goal is to get out there quickly on those early turns and, you know, smash you for those poison counters. You know, they don't have very much removal. So the fact that, you know, in my opinion, taking up 1 sideboard slot just to completely wreck an entire archetype of deck is totally worth it. I've got a 2nd Thragtusk in my sideboard, more so just if I need that extra life gain, or if I'm just finding that he's really useful against an opponent's deck. And the last creature card in the sideboard is a Thrun. Thrun's a great card. He can't be countered, and he's got hexproof. Plus, he's got to regenerate. So this guy really does not die, except a legendary rule. But he's really, you know, he's still a 4/4 for 4, 4/4 for 4. And so while he's a good card, he's not a great card. And unless your opponent's playing that heavy control, and you just are having trouble getting a card onto the field, in that case, he's very good because, you know, he's guaranteed to come onto the field. But really, against many other decks, there are better cards to be playing. For enchantments, I've got good old Mana Barbs. Mana Barbs is kind of, I'm sure a lot of you are confused as to why I'm playing this. And I'm going to be honest, it was actually in a Friday Night Magic. I was playing against a Grixis Control, and I mean, he just kept ramping up and getting so many lands, and just kept, you know, having an answer to every single thing I did. And he was also, you know, playing a part Super Friends. You know, he just kept, you know, he'd tap out the massive amount for, you know, to get a Nicol Bolas out, or you know, he just kept playing. You know, he had at one point, you know, he has like a Tamiyo, a Soren Markov, a Nicol Bolas. He's got everything out on the field, and I kind of think to myself, it's like, you know, if I had a Mana Barbs out right now, I would be griefing him incredibly hard, because he would not be able to get any of these huge drops out. You know, that Nicol Bolas would be absolutely unthinkable. So running 2 Mana Barbs, mostly for those big control decks where they're tapping out for huge amounts of mana, because if you can get one of those out, it absolutely griefs them all the way pretty much to death. Then for instance, I'm running 2 Ancient Grudges, a 2-drop to destroy an artifact, and then flashback for only 1 forest. Works great in the deck. You know, obviously it's not a great main board card, because there are a lot of decks that just don't run many artifacts. But at the same time, you know, if I'm playing up against a pod deck, you know, this guy's definitely coming in. Then my other instant is Crushing Vines, which also will destroy an artifact, but also can destroy a target creature with flying. You know, that instant speed to be able to immediately take out a Resto Angel is pretty good, because, well, I don't like Resto Angels. And then at sorceries, I've got 2 Pillar of Flames. As I said, a lot of the times, in my opinion, Galvanic Blasts are better, but when I do need that ability to exile those creatures, I can board in 2 Pillar of Flames, and most likely take out the two galvanic blasts. So then I'll be running 2 pillars and 1 galvanic blast. It's definitely worth the sideboard slot, just because, you know, if you are playing against one of those decks that's constantly bouncing out from their graveyard, the ability to exile is very nice, especially for only that 1 red mana. But anyways, that is my entire deck. That's my red-green aggro. So hopefully you guys will join me in my next video. I'm going to be doing a commentary of my deck, of this red-green aggro deck versus a Frights deck. And, you know, I hope to see you guys there. Peace. Hey everybody, TAV here, and in this video we are going to be watching a match of my red-green aggro deck versus a Faithless Rites deck. So I'm playing this on Cockatrice because I'm not really a Moto player. I try and stay away from Moto just because, as I said in my profile video, I really already spend too much money on the paper games. So but when it came down to having to record a match, I really didn't have the means of recording an actual game in real life, so I figured I would just have to use one of these free Moto replacement programs. So anyways, game 1, I'm going to win the die roll. I'm going to keep my starting hand. It's only a 1-lander, but I do have a Bird of Paradise. I have 2 Rancors, which is insane. So I'm going to start off with that Forest right into the Birds of Paradise. You know, I'm thinking the ability, I have a Borderland Ranger, so that's a fetch land right there if I need one. I can get that Geist out next turn, and I mean, I can always Green Sun for 1 right now, and grab another Mana Dork. But anyway, it's my turn, untap, and I top deck a land, which is pretty great right here. Sadly, it's not a forest, so I can't go Geist right into Rancor, swing for 4, but I can still get that Geist out there and still be swinging for 2. So he's going to take 2. I'm going to end my turn, pass, and see what he has. So he's already got a Plains out. I mean, at this point, I have absolutely no idea what he's playing. Alright, so he's got the dual land, red and white. So, I mean, I'm thinking... I'm not entirely sure what I'm thinking. But there goes the Faithless Looting. So, I do know he's definitely trying to get something into his hand. He's, and I know he could be running that Faithless Rites. So he discards an Elish Norn and a Gristlebrand, which is pretty interesting. I'm trying to... I mean, I know by now he's definitely playing that Faithless Rites deck, but I really am just going to figure I'm going to try and blast him as hard as I can. So I'm trying to think what to do. I figure I think I'm going to Borderland Ranger and grab another land so I can keep the pressure on. And yep, there I go, and going here for a fetch land. And normally I would almost always use that Borderland Ranger for a mountain, but in this case, with so many green spells right now in my hand, I figure the 1 mountain is good enough for now. Especially seeing as how I don't, within the next few turns, I really don't have the mana to even support. I mean, the big double red card I have is that Thundermaw Hellkite, and I figure even if I had gotten that second mana, that second mountain, I still wouldn't have enough mana, just period, to play the Hellkite if I drew it, if I top decked it. So I grab another forest and put it in my hand. You know, I've got a 2/2 now to just chump block if I need it. So there he goes with the black deck. So he's definitely playing, you know, black, red, white, and you know, I definitely know that's what he's playing. There goes the Lingering Souls. So that's gonna throw a couple of spirits on the battlefield, which don't exactly like the flying, but you know what? Whatever. I mean, I can deal. So he's going to, I think he's struggling to, tokens work weird in this game. You have to, you can either go and type up your own tokens, or, as I think you're going to see me do in a sec, I just have a program that just insta-types it out. Yeah, he's trying to type out token and give it flying, but, this game is a lot more, it's not as sophisticated as Modo. Obviously, it's it's a free program, so it's, it doesn't have quite the, all the features of it, but there I just spawn 2 spirits and give him control just because they look pretty, and I'm just going to be, and I'm kind of somebody who I would just be annoyed having to look at those yellowish white pieces of pixels, so figure I'll just give him the spirits and do it the pretty way. But yeah, as I was saying, Cockatrice, as this program is, it's really just, it's definitely not. It's not as nice as Modo. Modo is a very sophisticated program, very complex, very not exactly complex. It's not tough to use, but it's got all those features that just makes life easier. So here I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tap one, and I'm gonna play a Rancor, and I'm gonna attach it to my Geist. And then I think I'm going to, I'm gonna double Rancor. Oh, yep. Yeah, I believe... Do I Rancor? I think I double Rancor the Geist and single Rancor the Ranger, which just makes sense because if I swing with both, I'll at least have trample on both of them. So, if something gets by, it's going to... if something gets through, it's going to get through. It's, whatever he blocks, there's definitely damage going to him. And looking at the chat, he's really not happy that I just threw down 3 Rancors in one turn. And I guess, if I was on the receiving end of it, I wouldn't be happy too. But my Geist is now a 6-1, and my Ranger is a 4-2, so... And they both have trample, so that's pretty brutal. And I'm going to swing in with both of them here. But, as I said, it's... Cockatrice, since it doesn't have those nice features that just make Modo easy, and just make it so clean. It's nearly impossible to run drafts and tournaments in Cockatrice. People do it, but it's fairly certain. I don't know exactly how it works, but I'm fairly certain it has to do by using a lot of spreadsheets and such. So, anyways, he takes does he go down 8? I think, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You go to 9 there? Yes, because 6 and 4 is 10, and he blocked with 1, so yeah. My Geist dies because he hit him with a 1, hit him for 1. So he bounces back and is now a 3-2, and the 2 Rancors return to my hand. And my opponent's already down to 7, and has nothing but a single spirit token on field. I think he's going to, if I remember correctly, I think he's going to flash back his Lingering Souls, which is, not a bad idea. Try and get some chump blockers, especially if he really just doesn't have any cards. I think he's really looking for that Unburial Rites right now, so he can start playing back that Elish Norn and start playing back the Gristlebrand that he put into the graveyard. So he's going to go, he's going to tap his Swamp, and I think one more, there he goes, and he's going to flash back that Lingering Souls, put 2 more Spirit tokens on, and I have to say, I think the thing that stinks the most about Cockatrice is, it's because it doesn't have that monetary investment. I think I said this in my profile, it's, people really don't have any reason to stick around. The majority of players like this guy, if they had just gotten hit with a double Rancored Geist and a Rancored Borderland Ranger, they probably would have just said screw it and, X'd out of the game. Because there's absolutely no penalty for doing that. Alright, just top decked a Hellkite, which does me nothing right here. But, so I'm gonna Green Sun for 1 and grab another Mana Dork. and move that to the top of my library, and then shuffle it back in after I grab it, because all of the zeniths go back into your library. We'll grab a second bird, and then I'm gonna save that galvanic blast. Figure that might come in useful. Obviously I'm not going to use that and waste it on spirit. So I'll attach another Rancor. And I don't have the mana because the second Birds of Paradise just came in on that green sun. So so I'm gonna now attack for 9 with 2 tramples, a 5/2 and a 4/2. And I keep getting distracted. I'm talking about cockatrice, and then I get distracted and go back to commentating. So apologies for that. But let's see, where was my train of thought? Oh yeah, talking about how people would just X out and rage quit. No, I did finish that thought. I don't know. Get distracted while talking and watching this gameplay at the same time. So yeah, he's going to single block the Geist, and he's going to double block the Geist. Triple block the Geist. He wants to kill that Geist. So Geist is dead. Rancor bounces back to my hand, and he's going to take 3 from the Geist plus 4 from the Borderland Ranger. So he's going to take 7, correct? Let's see, he takes 6, and then was he at 8, or was he took 4, and then so minus 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many did you take? The Geist was a 3 plus. Oh, the Geist was a 5. So he took 2 from the Geist. Yep. So he only took 6. Then beginning of his upkeep, just going to. I was trying to figure out. I thought he was. I was thinking before when the Rancor was a 2, or the Geist was a 2/1, and Geist was a 2/1, and I had 2 Rancors on him. He was a 6. Geist was a 3 there, and had a single Rancor on him, so he was a 5/2 there. So yeah, so he took 6 damage, because he triple blocked it, got the 2 trample damage, and then 4 from the Borderland Ranger. So he was at 7, brings him down 6, and then I'm just going to Galvanic Blast him with my 1 open mana for that last piece of damage to kill him, to finish him off. So I mean, so far, I mean, I've seen his Elvish Norn and his Grizzlebrand, so I know what he's playing. But I mean, he really just got a slow start. He didn't really have those. Didn't really just have any low drop creatures, obviously, either in his hand or to play. So I'm gonna go to my sideboard here. Trying to think. I really just didn't see enough of his deck to really know what to play. I mean, I think at this point, at this point in the game, I was kind of thinking to myself, I wasn't 100% sure. It didn't exactly dawn on me that he was playing the Faithless Rites. It was really until after this game I went and started looking up the deck lists that I realized that's what he was playing. Because I mean, I didn't really know that archetype, so I didn't sideboard in anything. I really just wasn't sure. But here I am. I'm going to keep a second. This is the second game in a row that I'm going to keep a 1-lander, which is kind of crazy because I mean I normally wouldn't keep a 1-lander, but the fact, like in this here, I have 3 mana dorks and a Geist, so I mean that is pretty perfect. The Huntmaster really doesn't matter to me. I top deck a land there, so I definitely have another land going down on turn 2. Throw down my turn 1 bird and pass it back to him. So I mean, 2 more mana dorks left in hand, so I mean I can get 3 mana dorks up. I can be, I could easily be playing a 5-drop on turn 3, which is pretty nice. That Huntmaster, I mean he's alright. He doesn't really help me out that much here, but he's gonna do alright. The Geist is really the guy that's gonna come out swinging. He taps his play and then untaps it and decides to just pass. So throw down a mana. I top deck another mountain on this turn too. So I'm gonna tap the 2 and throw out my Geist, and then swing for 2. And my turn and pass. That bonfire in hand. I mean, normally I don't like keeping bonfires, but I mean, because it's just such an expensive card when you're hard casting it. But at the same time, it's I figure if he starts throwing down those Faithless Lootings again, I mean, not the Faithless Looting, the Lingering Souls again. He starts getting those Spirit tokens. But here he's gonna Whip Flare, and so everybody I have is dead, but my Geist is gonna come back. So I just throw everybody in the graveyard and then grab back the Geist. So there goes my first mana dork, which kind of sucks. Slows down my ramp a little bit, but it does bring my Geist back. He's now a 3/2, and I mean, heck, I still have 2 more. I still have a Lawnmower Elf and a Birds of Paradise. I top deck a Galvanic Blast, which, as I saw last game when I put the Game Ender on it and won. So it's by all means not a bad card. Definitely helped me out in this situation. Although so far I really haven't seen, all of his creatures I've seen have either been 1/1 Spirit tokens or Elish Norn and a Gristlebrand. So I'm really not 100% sure on just how effective that Galvanic Blast is going to be against really any of his creatures. But I figure if I can use it the way I did last game, I'll take it. So I'm going to tap 1, throw out another Llanowar Elf, and my first Llanowar Elf, another mana dork though, since my birds got Whip Flared, and then attack with my Strangleroot Geist. Since he has that Undying, he did 3 damage. So opponent's down to 15, and trying to figure out what to do. Obviously, he's just not drawing anything really, so he's going to pass it to me. I'm going to untap and draw, and I top deck a Bonfire. Now, obviously, it's not incredibly useful since he doesn't have any. There's not really anybody to clear him of on his board, but I'll still take the 3 damage that it's going to do to him. So I'm going to just undo the draw and then reveal it so that he sees that I miracled it. Throw it on the stack, and pretty sure I contemplate whether I want to do it for 3 or for 2. Figure I want to. Do I want to leave that extra Llanowar Elf up? I could leave him up and throw up a Bird of Paradise on the turn, but I'm just gonna use the Bonfire to its full effect and tap out so I can do it for 3. So he's down to 12. Then I'm gonna start combat and swing in again for 3. So he's now down to 9. And then I'm gonna end my turn and pass over to him. I mean, he's obviously, this game so far he's played 4 lands and a Whip Flare, and that's it. I mean, he kept his I believe, yeah, he didn't mulligan. So I mean, he's been playing off his opening 7, and just the fact that he hasn't been able to do anything is kind of brutal. But he's gonna tap 2 here and tap 3. And Oblivion Ring. He's gonna Oblivion Ring my Geist, which is an interesting solution to that Geist. Just because, I mean, had he hit him for 2, he was probably just trying to relieve the pressure. But I mean, if that my Geist wasn't already a 3/2, I could have, while the Oblivion Ring was on the stack, could have thrown down a Galvanic Blast, blasted my own Geist, and then and killed him and brought him back, avoiding that Oblivion Ring. But here I go. I'm gonna throw out my Huntmaster, grab myself a token, and then gain myself 2 life. And then also, since the game doesn't recognize that Huntmaster actually has two sides to it, I actually have to make a token of the second side, and then I'll put it behind him and flip it over so he knows that that's not active at the moment. But yeah, so I'm up to 22, and yep, and I'm going to tap my Lenoir Elf and play a Birds of Paradise. Just so I get that, so I mean, I'm fully tapped out right now, but there's really nothing I could have done. Only other thing I could have done was tapped my Lenoir Elf instead of one of those mountains and left a mountain up for a Galvanic Blast his turn, just in case something came out that I wanted to deal with right away. But so he's gonna Lingering Souls here, and put those two white 1/1s with flying on the board, which as of right now really aren't going to do much. Just the fact that he's been set back, he's lost tempo for 4 or 5 rounds or 4 or 5 turns now, and just really hasn't gotten anything rolling. He's either going to need some quick plays to start taking care of my creatures. Another Whip Flare here would be great if he could cast that Whip Flare back. I'm really not sure what he's got in his deck, whether he can, but I'm going to draw a Rancor here, which is by all means not bad, because I do love my Rancor. But figuring those white 1/1s really aren't going to do me any good. So tap and do a Bonfire for 1, tapping my Elf in the process. So he's down to 7, and he wipes his, or no, sorry, down to 8. That's going to wipe his board. Now I'm going to tap 1 and Rancor, and throw it on the Wolf. So now I'm going to be swinging. He's a 4/2, so now I'm going to be swinging for 6, which will bring him down to 2, and once again coming down to an instant Galvanic Blast in my hands. I'm going to blast him for the last 2 health, exact seize, take him out, and that's going to be game. And, so I end the game at 22, bring him down to 0. And, I really didn't get to ramp. I mean, I got a good ramp. Rancor's really won me that match. Having 3 of them in my on the field in game 1 is huge. He's just gonna be showing me what he's got, and now I really know what he's playing. He's got that the Unburial Rites with a Gristlebrand with a Gisela Blade of Gold Knight, another Gristlebrand. I guess he just didn't have the mana to play any of them, or at least didn't have the means to get them in his. Because I believe he just revealed those from his. Yeah, he revealed those from his hand. So I guess he just didn't have any means of getting those Gristlebrands into his graveyard. So I mean, I guess he just needed to top deck that Faithful Saluting, so he could have discarded the 2 Gristlebrands into his graveyard, then could have Unburial Rites them back. But I mean, he knows. I mean, I assumed he didn't have any response, so as soon as I saw the GG, I knew the match was over. Overall, though, I'm very happy with this match. I really didn't get to spotlight any of my higher drops, which would have been nice to ramp into, but I used the few Green Suns I had to get a couple of Mana Dorks and a couple of low drops, but again, I'm really happy with this deck. I'm really happy with how it performs. But I just want to say now, thank you to everybody who's watched this, and thank you times 10 for everybody who's watched all 3 of my videos. Definitely means a lot. If you want to, just comment on this video. If you have anything to say, I'm sure I'll comment back and answer any questions. I'll let you guys know. Just chat with you, and but yeah, definitely thanks a lot for watching these videos. I'd really appreciate the vote for the So You Think You Can Cast contest, and one other thing. Well, this is the deck that I've been running with in Standard for quite some time. I've actually, as of just a few days ago, began rummaging up and changing my deck around, and I'm actually starting to play to kind of evolve my deck into a rug pod deck. So I'm adding some blues, and I'm adding those birthing pods. Especially, I'm not entirely sure. Based on how many people I think enter the contest, there may be another round. If there's another round, and I'm making another video for this contest, I'm definitely going to showcase that deck. But if enough people just liked the way I put all these videos together and like the deck that I created, definitely let me know, and I promise I'll do a deck tech and probably some games of my rug pod deck. But so once again, thank you guys for watching my video, and if you feel like voting, by all means, please do. It's much appreciated, and I hope everybody has a good night, or day, or morning, depending on when you're watching this. See ya, folks.